નમસ્કાર, હું આદર્શ છું. વેલકમ ટુ આદર્શ એજ્યુકેશન સોસાયટી. સ્ટેન્ડર્ડ 10th, Subject Science, Chapter 6, Life Processes. Dear students, today we'll continue how oxygen enters in blood in the lungs. So, you know that. See the diagram here, exchanges of gases. See, earlier we have discussed with the heart. See, deoxygenated carbon dioxide enters in the heart, okay, taking heart, and this will go through the lungs, and again it will comes to the heart, and from the heart again it is pumped to this what discharge to or to deliver to all the parts of the body. So in this way, this we have discussed. Okay, here also this diagram also like this. Here septum will be there. This is right side and this is the left side. Okay, so like this way we have got the knowledge. The separation of the right side and the left side of the heart is useful to keep the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. See, this right side and left side, separation of the right side and left side, heart is useful because to keep the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from the mixing. Okay, so due to this, the both will not mix up. Such separation allows a highly efficient supply of oxygen to the body. So what will get? So what body will get highly efficient or highly oxygenated or oxygen rich blood will supply to the body. So this is useful in the animals that have the energy needs, such as birds and mammals. So this is so very good, very useful. The animals that have the high energy, those who need high energy, such as birds and mammals, which constantly use the energy to maintain their body temperatures. See, now here students, you got the idea of, that organisms are divided into two parts on the basis of the temperature regulation. See, on the basis of the temperature regulation, the organisms are divided into two parts. That is what? Cold-blooded animals and warm-blooded animals. Cold-blooded animals and warm-blooded animals. You know that cold-blooded animals are those animals, they depend on temperature regulation on the environment, depend on the environment. If the environment is cool, then the body temperature of the animal also cool. If the temperature is warm, the temperature of the body of the animal also warm. So this is how the cold animals behaving. But what about the warm-blooded animals? For example, like the human beings or like some of the other mammals. So we do not depend on the environment. The temperature regulation is maintaining or self-maintaining will be there. It does not depend on the environment. For this, for this energy is required. Such energy we are getting from the ATP. So whatever the energy is there for this purpose, the energy supply is ATP we are doing. Okay. For this, that oxygen is required more or glucose is required more. So this glucose should break down. So like this work, from the ATP we are getting. So we are not depending on the environment. So in the animals that do not use the energy for this purpose, this is already what I told. The body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment. Such animals like amphibians, you know that amphibians, you see amphibians, the animals live both on the land and in water. They are called as amphibians. And reptiles, the animals which crawl on the abdomen, okay, by using the short legs or you are saying on using the belly, stomach part. They are called reptiles. For example, snakes, lizard, this all. So these amphibians and many reptiles have three-chambered hearts. So they have the three-chambered hearts and tolerating some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood streams. So if the oxygenated and deoxygenated mixing, so they don't have any problem. They can manage. Okay. But for the higher animals like mammals, and this will not be because they need higher energy. So that is why it should be for their body oxygenated rich blood only required. Fishes, on the other hand, have only two chambers to their hearts. See, fishes have two chamber hearts. The blood is pumped to the gills. What will happen? The blood pumped to the gills and is oxygenated there, and that again it will not come to the heart and passes directly to the rest of the body. So such a type of circulation is called single circulation. Okay. So directly where oxygenated then passes to directly rest of the body. Thus the blood goes only once through the heart in the fish during the one cycle of passes through that body. So that is we are calling single circulation. On the other hand, it goes through the heart twice during the each cycle of other vertebrates. This is called as double circulation. Why double circulation? See, look here now. For us, we will see deoxygenated blood enters here and goes through the lungs, and again it comes to the heart and then distribute to all over the body. So like this way, two times it comes to the heart. So here we are saying double circulation. Okay. Now we will see that the tubes and the blood vessels. You know that blood vessels are of three types will be there. Arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries, veins and capillaries. You know that about the arteries. Arteries carries blood back away from the heart to tissues of the body. And veins carries blood from the tissues of the body to the heart. So this you are knowing. So arteries have the vessels which carry blood away from the heart to various organs of the body. Here these arteries are carrying oxygen-rich blood. Since the blood emerges from the heart, putting pressure from the heart under the high pressure, emerges or comes out. The arteries have thick walls. See, sometimes asking the question why the arteries have thick and elastic walls. Because the blood comes out from the heart or pushes from the heart. Okay, they do not need thick walls. See, veins collect the blood from the different organs and bring it back to the heart. So veins are just collecting the blood and what we are saying from the different end bring back to the heart. So they do not need thick walls because the blood is no longer under pressure. Instead, they have the walls that ensure that the blood flows only in the one direction. So that is why they do not want any thick walls. On reaching the organ or tissue, the arteries are divided into smaller vessels to bring the blood in contact with all the individuals. So you know that arterioles. Okay, like this way, then capillaries, then veins, like this way, this dividing into smaller vessels. The smallest vessels have walls which are one cell thick and are called as capillaries. See, capillaries. What do we mean by capillaries? The smallest vessels have walls which are one cell thick and are called as capillaries. And here, exchange of the material between the blood and the surrounding cell takes place across the thin wall. The capillaries are then joined together to form veins that convey the blood away from the organ or tissues. Okay, like this way, the blood circulation will be takes place. See, blood travels like this, from the heart, again artery, goes through the arteriole, then to the capillary, then to the venule, then vein, then heart. So like this way, blood travels through the vessels. Now, maintenance by the platelets. You know that platelets. Okay, RBC, WBC and platelets. What happens if the system of the tubes develops leak? Suppose what will happen if the tubes will leak or breaks? Think about the situation when we are injured and start bleeding. Suppose when the person got bleeding, naturally the loss of the blood from the system to be minimized. In addition, leakage would lead to loss of pressure, which would reduce the efficiency of the pumping system. So, for to avoid this, the blood has a platelet cells will be there. So, what will happen? Platelets, which circulate around the body and plug these leaks by helping the clot. So, what will do? That will clot or like becomes a solid mass the blood at these joints of injury. So, in this way, the platelets are helpful to us. So, to avoid this, what will happen? The blood has platelet cells which circulate around the body and plug these leakages. So, this type of connecting which one vessels, that is helping to clot it. Clot means it becomes a solid mass. So, the blood at these points will not again leak. So, in this way, this one platelets are helpful to us. Now we'll see this diagram, blood pressure. So you know that what this blood pressure? The force that blood exerts against the wall of the vessel is called as blood pressure. See, the force that blood exerts against the wall of the vessel is called as a blood pressure. This pressure is much greater in the arteries than in the veins. Okay, this pressure is more in the arteries than in the veins. The pressure of the blood inside the artery during the ventricular systole or contraction we are calling, so that is called as systolic pressure. So what do you mean by systolic pressure? The pressure of the blood inside the artery during the contraction, ventricular systole, is called as systolic pressure, and pressure in the artery during the ventricular diastole or relaxation, so that is called as a diastolic pressure. So remember both the definition. The normal systolic pressure is about 120, ranges to 120, and diastolic pressure is 80. So 120 range, Hg is given mercury, millimeter of mercury. Okay, so 182, it may exceeds up to 200 also. So the range is normal systolic pressure is about 120 and diastolic pressure is 80 millimeter of Hg. Blood pressure is measured with an instrument that is called as sphygmomanometer. 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 So asking what is blood pressure is measured. So remember this one also. High blood pressure is also called as hypertension. So what is hypertension? High blood pressure, and is caused by the constriction of the arterioles. See, by the constriction of the arterioles, this hypertension becomes, which results what? Increase in the resistance or stops the blood flow, resistance opposing the blood flow. So it can lead to the rupture of an artery, so breaking up on a artery and internal bleeding. Okay, so dear students, and say in the internal bleeding. So this is the problems of the hypertension or increasing the resistance of the blood flow. So dear students, remember this all, and we will discuss remaining things in the next video. Till that, bye bye. Thank you for joining us.